Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 12th Lebanon City Council meeting. Tonight, we have some special guests to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We have some scouts from PAC 359. If you scouts want to come forward and help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'd appreciate it. Guys. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Scouts. All right, we'll move on to the roll call members. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Yes, Mike Kincaid.
Present.
Keith Campbell.
Here.
Sandra Jasanowski. Here. Dick Robertson.
Here.
John Copeland.
Here.
Sierra Messenger is excused. And Robert Hawkins.
Here.
Thank you.
We would have minutes, but unfortunately Tanya had a technical error and they went missing. So they will either be found or redone for our next meeting. So we'll take this up in our next meeting. Next item will be our election of officers for the City Council for 2026. As is your tradition, you guys elect a council president for the year. So how do you guys want to handle that?
I'll make a motion that Mike Kincaid be president for 2026.
We have a nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations? All those in favor of Mike for council president, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? All right, congratulations or condolences, Mike, one of the two. Either way, there you go. All right, next up, this is kind of just a reminder for council. Obviously, new year here, so we're going to be having some board appointments. Oh, do we have vice president too? I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Just started the last couple of years.
Oh, okay. We need a vice president as well too. So are there any nominations for vice president of council?
I would like to make a nomination of Dick Robertson for Vice President for 2026.
We have a nomination. Is there a second? Second from Keith. Any other nominations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Congratulations or condolences, Dick. All right. Thank you, Tanya, for reminding me. Okay, next up, just again, as a reminder, new year here, so we do have council will have appointments to city boards, BZA, Board of Works, Planning Commission, various boards in the matter. We will get a kind of a spreadsheet out to you guys of whose terms are up. Then if you guys kind of want to deliberate, find candidates for that, you guys can fill that then maybe at the second meeting here in January going forward. So just kind of remind you of that coming up. All right, with that, can I get consent from the council to take the agenda out of order? Yes. Consent? All right, move on to new business. First item up here will be a food and beverage request from the Lebanon soccer program. Scott Page. Get the food and beverage request done first, and then we'll go to our normal business.
Good evening. Scott Page with the Lebanon soccer program. I'm with the Golden Goal Club that is kind of the boosters for the soccer program, and met with the food and beverage board there, and we're basically requesting $1,400 for to buy 4 movable goals for the football field, so the soccer program can practice on turf, and also sometimes be able to hold a game there, but these will mostly be practice goals, so we can prepare for. We're playing a lot of larger schools nowadays, and a lot of them have turf fields, so it basically allows our players to prepare for that. Turf acts a lot differently than grass does. Also, when the grass fields, our current soccer fields are all grass, so we cannot practice on those in the wintertime due to damaging the grass, as well as when it rains a lot, inclement weather. And right now, it's really hard to find indoor practice facilities at the school because of the construction. Till the new field house gets completed, most of the outdoor activities have to stay outdoors. They don't get any indoor facilities to practice in. So that was our request. I can answer any other questions if you have it.
Any questions for Scott or Sandra?
Actually, I was just going to ask John to handle this. I wasn't there present
gotcha,
for either
okay.
one of these two meetings, so
Gotcha.
John's going to handle them for me.
Okay.
We met with Scott on December 22nd. And again, as he discussed, he's with the Golden Goal Club with Lebanon High School. They're looking for 4 new portable or movable for the turf on the football field goals, and they're $350 a piece. And he made a very good presentation. And at that time, Rob and I had met, and we'd like to make a recommendation to the council this evening.
Any questions or comments from council? No, sir. Is there a motion? Oh, Dick, go ahead.
I got a question for Scott.
Yeah.
Don't they still have an athletic booster program at the high school?
They do.
And have you approached them with any request from them to see any assistance?
They are short on funds currently as well, so they would be unable to provide it for that. The most that they would ever give us, and is usually like 500 or something on a request. And right now they are, I mean, the school is scrapping for money, obviously, in every aspect, especially with all the new building and everything. It's just, but yes, that is something we thought about, but knowing I am actually part of the sports boosters as well. I sit on that for the soccer program, and yeah, you see the funds coming in and going out. So it's something that it is not available at this time. So.
In the past, we have done it for the individual booster clubs. I would say for the sport-specific clubs, I think we've done football. I think we did softball one year. I can't remember all I don't think we've ever done it for the soccer program, though, either.
we have
So
not.
something, yeah.
And this will go to the athletic department. The check will be made out to the athletic department, and Phil Levine has already been made aware, and he can put that in the proper place if, so.
Questions or comments? Is there a motion then concerning the food and beverage request?
Make a motion that we approve the $1,400 for the soccer program.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Sandra. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you, Scott.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, next up will be a food and beverage request from our special guest of the evening, the Lebanon Cub Scouts, Pack 359, Denise. And Max.
Yeah, so, Max Mendenhall, I'm the Cub Master for Pack 359 here in Lebanon. Our pack serves all 4 elementary schools, so we actually have Whitestown kids as well, so Harney. We've been in Lebanon, our pack's been in Lebanon since the 1930s. We've been around for a long time, impacting the youth in many different ways, not just the outdoor program, but also leadership skills and life skills that they learn accidentally along the way. She's got a few pictures of some of the fun activities that we've done this year, from the Christmas parade to summer camp, along with camporees, community cleanups, and then just a lot of the other fun events that we've been a part of. The law enforcement week event as well. We are asking for $1,500 to help support our program and our youth. That would go to buying everything that we need for our pack, awards and supplies, and possibly helping kids that can't afford to be in scouting along with getting kids to camp. Anybody who's been in scouting knows that that is kind of the secret sauce to camping or to scouting and keeping kids involved and moving them along the way. So we have one of our big events of the year, Pinewood Derby, January 24th. It is a fundraiser for the pack, and then you guys would be the sponsor of that event along with other people that have donated. But spaghetti dinner, and then we have Pinewood Derby racing for all of our kids that are going to be involved. So it's a a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys have any questions.
Any questions for Max? John?
We met with Max and Denise on December 22nd. Rob and I did. They have currently about 40 kids in their organization. This is the second year for their dinner. The funds that they're requesting would go to awards, PAC events, and a summer camp. It's a day-long camp that they go and they put on to help other kids that maybe not financially be able to afford it. So this is the second year for the dinner. It's $15 per person. And I don't know, Max, did you say when the date and time of that dinner was and location?
Yeah, so it's January 24th. We'll be at the fairgrounds in the Witham Pavilion. Dinner will start at 4 o'clock. We encourage actually anybody who's been in scouting to, if you have an old Pinewood Derby car, to bring it out. We will have open races for people to be able to race a car. If you want to build a car and be a part of it, we do have those for you as well. Reach out to me or Denise, we can do that. One of the fun things that we did do this year that's new is we have Lego cars that the kids can build and play with and change and see how it affects the way they go down the track.
I just want to say thanks to D. Patrick for supplying the Legos for that. That's new for us. And also just a shout out because we have doubled the size of the pack this past year. And so that's kind of the first time, really one of the reasons you're seeing us for the first time too, is it's a lot more kiddos and, you know, obviously we want to welcome more too. So thanks for letting us share about Cub Scouts as well.
Thank you.
I'll say this is the first time that PAC 359 has come in front of the council and requested any monies or funds from the Food and Beverage Committee. And so with that, I would like to make a recommendation of $1,500 or a motion for $1,500 to PAC 359.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Sandra. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Thank you.
You guys can buy us on Facebook and we'll see all of you there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trust me, I'm already working on a car, so I will be there. Very excited for that. Okay. We'll pause for a minute. You guys feel free to stay if you want. We got some exciting bond ordinances on the agenda here. Got some traffic schedule amendments. What else we got here? Some confirmatory resolutions. No takers. Okay. Thank you, Scouts, and thank you for helping us with the pledge.
Thank you.
Okay. Consent to return to agenda. Okay. All right, we'll go on to old business now. First item here will be Bond Ordinance 2025-32. This is a bond concerning the New Cold Project Phase 3, and this bond's on second reading. We have Catherine Finello to help us it's been a little while since we had the bond ordinance on first reading. There were some ongoing discussions, but it's ready to kind of bring it back before you, so we'll have to turn it over to Catherine.
I'll give you a little refresher.
Thank you.
Catherine Finello with Dinsmore and Scholl. And so as a refresher, if you remember, we had first reading back in October of 2025, and this is a bond ordinance for economic development, taxable economic development revenue bonds for the New Cold Project Phase 3. And just again, as a refresher, the bonds will be paid from tax increment that's generated and collected from the Phase 3 project. Since the first reading, we have updated the form of economic development agreement, the financing agreement, and the trust indenture, and the bond ordinance to reflect that the bonds will now close in 2026, before the end of the year. They were originally anticipated to close at the end of 2025. Additionally, Baker Tilly has updated the bond feasibility report or study, and so we do have someone from Baker Tilly here, Annika, to speak to that feasibility update. Happy to address any questions.
Catherine, any questions for Catherine at this time from council? No, sir. Okay. Annika, do you want to?
Hi, thank you. Annika Sinekin with Baker Tilly. I do have our feasibility analysis that we updated, so I'll put that on the projector right here.
Here you go.
Numbers are probably pretty small on here, so maybe I can try to zoom.
I think do the knob at the top.
I should know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh. There we go. Okay, so as you can see here, as Catherine mentioned, this proposed project is within the New Cold Phase 3 allocation area. So the funds and the bonds that are being proposed are funded from only Phase 3 allocation area TIF, so not touching the Phase 1, Phase 2 project. So you can see here, there's real and personal property, and these numbers are provided, or these estimates are provided by the company. Here, here's the estimated proposed tax increment in real property. The building assessed value per square foot and square foot assumptions are provided by the company. Those are estimated to come online in taxes payable year 2029. And if you can see here, a little bit of the land is considered 2% ag land. The rest of it is industrial land. But with that being the 2% ag land, it is subject to that 2% deduction. So there is a little bit of a decrease, as you can see in this line item here. So that's from the real property. And then as mentioned, there is an investment in personal property. This is estimated to be in the 2% pool depreciation. And then this next schedule just shows the real and personal property combined over the life of the allocation area. Now getting into the bond assumptions, the estimated bond principal amount is $20,500,000. This is structured similar to the previous two bond issuances. Again, this is within the Phase 3 allocation area using those TIF funds to fund this project. And for these bonds, they're being structured to maximize the TIF revenues. And I will get to the comparison schedule to show you the coverage for that as well here in just a moment. Here's the estimated amortization schedule. This is over a 10-year period. And then the interest rate is at 7.16%. And this is per the most recent term sheet provided by the bank purchaser identified by the company. And as you can see here, comparing the estimated tax increment less 5,000 estimated administration fees. But you can see here the estimated 2026 bond debt service is to have about 115% coverage throughout the life of the bond. Now, if those estimates would happen for the assessment for the project would not come to be that big of tax increment and coverage, if the project tax increment is not sufficient, the bonds are backed by an additional company guarantee. So the RDC would not be liable for any shortfall payments. These would be protected and covered by the company. Happy to answer any additional questions.
Yeah, just for the average person watching on TV at home, could you explain what the bond money goes to and when the city will actually start receiving some of the tax dollars from that?
So let me get to if I can get on here. So right on this schedule, so the net proceeds amount of that 17 million is the amount that would go to fund this New Cold project. So with the bond being anticipated to be 10 years, so expiring at the beginning of 2030 or 2037, that would be when the bonds roll off, but the allocation area is still going on. I think we have until about 2048. So at the expiration of the allocation area is when the tax increment would be passed through to the overlapping taxing units. So this allocation area is to fund this project, but at the expiration of the allocation area is when the assessed value would go to the overlapping taxing units.
Thank you.
Will you be providing all this information to us?
We can provide that. I know Rob has received a copy of this feasibility, so that can be distributed as well if that needs to be.
Yeah, and you received an earlier version. You came today, yeah. So, and we had an earlier version of this too, but on the first reading. So it kind of similarly reflects that. It was updated slightly. I think some interest rates changed, but the overall structure is still the same.
Correct.
Yeah. Any other? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We have also have Ted Butler from New Cold. If you want to say anything at all for us, or your team.
Also, Shelby, our thing from
Oh, yeah.
Food EDC.
Yeah. Perfect. Oh, yeah. Either one, yeah.
Yeah, so good evening and thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm Ted Butler, Incentives Manager at New Cold. I'm joined this evening by Trey Richardson, our Vice President of Finance for North America, and then Jenny Belpulsi is our Area Financial Controller who works at the Lebanon facility. On behalf of New Cold, we want to thank Mayor Gentry, City Council members, the City of Lebanon, and our partners at Boone County and the state for your cooperation and collaboration and continued support. For New Cold, for those of you not familiar with New Cold, we are a global leader in advanced cold storage and logistics. We design, own, and operate advanced automated logistics facilities, serving some of the largest food manufacturers in the world. In the U.S., we currently have 4 major facilities, including our facility here in Lebanon at 904 Edwards Drive, where we completed our initial phase 1 facility in 2022, and then an expansion to that facility in 2024. Together, these 2 phases represent more than $335 million in capital investment and the creation of about 300 high-quality jobs. This project represents our 3rd expansion here, which really speaks to the strength of the relationship we've built in the community. With an estimated capital investment exceeding $500 million, this will be New Cold's single largest project to date globally. Beyond just the scale of investment, we anticipate creating about 200 full-time positions, along with a substantial number of positions, temporary jobs created during the construction of the facility. We're incredibly excited about this next phase of growth, both in terms of the investment we're making and the long-term commitment we continue to have in the community. Your partnership enables us to grow responsibly, create jobs, and deepen our presence and impact here. And we're grateful for that trust you've placed in us. So thank you for your time this evening and for your continued support. We look forward to many more years of working together. And with that, I open it up to council input and public comment.
Any questions for Ted from council?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right. Shelby, do you want to say anything from the Boone EDC? Yep.
Hello, is this on? Okay. Hello, Council. I'm Shelby Farthing. I'm the Director of Strategy and Innovation at the Boone County Economic Development Corporation. And I've had the great experience of working with the New Cold team and also touring their facility personally. Beyond just the economic impact, I wanted to talk a little bit about New Cold as a good community partner. They have proven to us that they've been an engaged community partner through their support of local homeless shelters by donating cold weather gear from their operations. And they also participate with our Boone EDC behind the scenes program by welcoming various community partners and our Boone EDC team to tour the facility and see the firsthand the impact of their economic development in Boone County. So for these reasons, we encourage the City Council's support of this Phase 3 expansion, and just want to thank you all for the opportunity to be here tonight. So,
Thank you. All right, any further comments, questions from council?
No, sir.
Rob, will have you read the ordinance on second reading, please?
Yep.
Mayor, Council, thank you again. This is second reading of Ordinance 2025-32, which concerns a taxable economic development revenue bonds, the New Cold Project Phase 3. The Lebanon Redevelopment Commission previously established and expanded its economic development area known as the Lebanon Consolidated Economic Development Area. That had also designated a portion of the consolidated area as a New Cold Phase 3 allocation area and created the New Cold Phase 3 Allocation Fund. New Cold USA 3 Propco LLC or one or more of its affiliates desires to finance all or portion of the cost of the construction, acquisition, and equipping of approximately a 1 million square foot facility, again consisting of highly automated, large-scale cold storage warehousing and administrative offices. That's defined as the project. The company has advised the city and the Redevelopment Commission, as well as the Lebanon Economic Development Commission, concerning the project, and has requested the city issue its taxable economic development revenue bonds, New Cold Phase 3. The Economic Development Commission on October 14th of 2025 conducted a public hearing in accordance with Indiana law and found that the financing of the project complies with the purposes and provisions of Indiana law and will be a benefit to the health and welfare of the city and its citizens, and the construction of the project is anticipated to result in an investment of approximately $504 million in the area. This council has received copies of forms of the financing agreement, as well as the trust indenture between the city and the trustee to be selected by the trustee, as well as a draft of the economic development agreement. This council finds that the financing of the economic development facilities referred to in the financing agreement and the use of the net proceeds of the bonds to finance a portion of the cost of the project and the payment of bonds from the pledged TIF revenues will result in the diversification of industry, creation and retention of business opportunities for gainful employment within the jurisdiction of the city. Will serve a public purpose, will be a benefit to the health and general welfare of the city, and complies with the purposes and provisions of Indiana law, and is in the public interest of the city to take such lawful action as determined to be necessary and desirable to promote increased investment in the city. At the public hearing before the Economic Development Commission, the Economic Development Commission considered whether this project would have an adverse competitive effect on similar facilities in the city, and subsequently found, based on the findings set forth in the resolution, that the project would not have an adverse competitive effect. The proposed financing of a portion of the cost of the project and of certain costs related to the issuance of the bonds by the issuance of the bonds under Indiana law, and the form of such financing was approved by the Economic Development Commission, and this council approves the same. This council also authorizes the issuance of the bonds in one or more series in an amount not to exceed $20,500,000, and those will be defined as the New Cold Project Phase 3 bonds. The mayor and the clerk treasurer are authorized and directed in the name on behalf of the city to execute any and all documents as may be necessary to carry out the intent of this bond ordinance. And there are several other provisions in here that we've seen. I went through them in the first reading, and you have copies of them. But I won't go through each of those in detail, but this bond ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption as in accordance with Indiana law.
Thank you, Rob. At this time, is there any public comment concerning ordinance 2025-32? Any further discussion, comments from council? No, sir. Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion we approve bond ordinance 2025-32.
Motion to approve, is there a second? Second. Second from Mike. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you, council. Thank you, New Cold. We appreciate the partnership and the investment. Thank you. All right, next item up here, returning to new business. This will be item C for council. This is concerning the Parkview Health System water and wastewater capacity pre-allocation agreement. Jeff Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Happy New Year. Ryan Ottinger and I, he's passing out some paperwork just as some background information for you. Ryan's with me, as well as Ed Basquill, to talk to you tonight about the Parkview project, and we have another pre-allocation agreement for you. This is very similar, although somewhat project-specific, but very similar to what you've seen in the past, reserving water and wastewater service in 2027. I believe there's members of the Parkview team also with me here this evening in case you have any questions of them. They are requesting the reservation of 23 water and 23 wastewater EDUs in 2027 when the additional water capacity is delivered. As per typical with these, this becomes a 10% refundable deposit, and then the full availability fee is available once the water becomes available and they're notified by Lebanon Utilities. This comes to you tonight with a favorable approval from the Lebanon Utility Service Board, and Ryan, don't go too terribly far, in anticipation of the last pre-allocation agreement questions that we had. Ryan has given you tonight, and Ryan, I'll have you come up and put this on the overhead, just a demonstration of sort of where we are. What you have in front of you is a table that's evidencing water that's either been assigned or pre-allocation agreements that have been approved by the utility board and the city council when water becomes available in 2027.
Good evening. Yes, this is just a quick chart of some of the, if you'll remember, we met with a number, Mayor Gentry, Planning and Zoning, and Lebanon Utilities met with a number of developers and tried to just figure out what their needs were for the future. And upon doing that, we were able to do some pre-allocation to ensure that the new water coming in as part of the wholesale water agreement was able to not only serve LEAP, but also the civil district and make sure that we can continue to grow along with LEAP. So you'll see a number of projects up here that have already had Lebanon Utility Service Board allocation agreements approved, and the EDUs in the 2027-2028 column, and one EDU equals one house, basically, is an equivalent of one home. So whether it's a business or whether it's just one home, everybody pays that equivalent based on their water usage. One EDU is the equivalent of 500 gallons a day which would be for the typical home. And so you can see what we have on here. There's a couple zeros on there that are a little misleading. Angelie Gardens, for example, was allocated previously. Their fees were waived by City Council, and once we were able to start building again, they were able to go ahead and start building. So we had them on our list to make sure that we met with them to make sure we could meet their needs. We're continuing to do that. So that zero is a little misleading because they're building homes now as we speak. They don't have to wait till 2027, so they're able to do that. So just wanted to give you an update on that and where we are as far as growth goes. We do have, as we're talking about the Parkview facility, we do have water to allocate for that facility. So it'll be included in as we continue to update this chart. And the next time that I come before City Council with an updated chart, it will be on that chart. It just has not been pre-allocated yet, and they don't have the agreement yet. But we have been talking with them and understand the needs and how important a project that is. So that's not an issue at all. And I have another graph that I handed out, but I would be more than happy to. I know I went through that pretty quick. Answer any questions?
I've got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
On Angelie Gardens, it says section 2. You had 27 and 28 with zeros. Is section 2 another section, or is that the original section they're building now?
So there's two sections. I believe they've both been approved, but with the number of homes, I don't believe, and I may have to get back to you on this, I don't want to speak out of turn, that it's going to go, Section 2 may be in part of 27, but will be started in 26, so that may have already been pre-allocated. But I do know that that entire addition has been allocated and has water reserved for that addition. So that number may be off, but I do know that they'll be able to build that out completely without any stopping or starting or anything like that. I apologize for that.
Oh, just a question, thank you.
Any other questions on this for Ryan? You want to go to your other graph, Ryan?
Yeah, just real quick, just to give a kind of an update on our usage. You can see the red line is basically what our average has been since 2012. You can see in 2021, when my job changed to be a lot busier, we are steadily climbing. The top of that chart is 4.5 million, and our max is 4.6, and 4.5 is kind of where we kind of would draw the line as we get there. In 2024, we pumped an average of 2.022 million gallons a day, and last year that was up to 2.086, which we expected, and that's exactly how, not exactly, but that's how we predicted and had planned on. So we're growing in the right way. We have plenty of water, continuing to make sure that our numbers stay exactly where we want them. That's the beauty of the pre-allocation. As the pre-allocations become final, we put that in the chart, take that water out of play, so that way anybody gets pre-allocated immediately knows that that water from 2027, January 1st, 2027, is theirs to use. I can answer any questions on that if anybody has any.
Any questions on that from the council?
It's not as exciting.
Okay, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
So council, typically what we'll try to do is when we have these pre-allocation agreements, to the extent we have them in the future, we'll come in with some updated numbers each time. But I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, the utility board, and I'm sure the folks from Parkview would appreciate your support on the agreement in front of you.
Jeff, is this significantly similar to the previous pre-allocation agreements we've entered in with other parties?
Very similar. There may be some project-specific editing that's been done, but yes, it is.
Final questions or concerns from council? No, sir. Is there a motion then to approve the water and wastewater capacity pre-allocation agreements with Parkview Health? We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Second from Rob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, council. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, next item up here, Resolution 2026-03. This is concerning additional appropriation for the Parks Department for a bucket truck. John Messenger, come on down.
Good evening. Hope you all had a good Christmas and a good New Year's. Anyway, I'm here tonight to ask for an additional appropriation of $200,000. We currently have a 2000 bucket truck, and it cannot be inspected anymore. It's pretty much unsafe. Can't be inspected and it can't be serviced. There again, I've reached out to Alltech, who is a Sourcewell member, and the price that they gave me was $182,000. Anyway, $182,015. Just in case there's any other service fees, I'm asking for an additional appropriation of $200,000. This will carry on with our bucket truck for our trees that we take care of, which is one of our biggest assets in the parks. And any questions?
I think it's time to retire a 25-year-old piece of
Oh
equipment.
my gosh, 25, it just can't be serviced or inspected. And we thanks to the utilities, we team up with them, have it inspected with all their bucket trucks. This truck actually came from the utilities. We purchased it 9 years ago, and it's got us up until now. So this would be our first purchase that we've ever purchased, but as you can see, we take care of it for 25 years. We did have a couple incidents last year where a gentleman got stuck up in the bucket, which isn't fun. And we did have our safety bucket truck rescue program that we've gone through for the last 3 years. And boy, it came in handy. Yeah, no incident, came down, and it was all good. But yeah, to keep us from that, if you could help us out with the request, I would appreciate it.
Resolution 2026-03. It is the duty and responsibility of the council to maintain physical integrity of the finances of the city. It has been determined that it's now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require public hearing, of which the council has served proper notice. Be it resolved and adopted by the city council that this resolution 2026-03 is to appropriate funds for the park bucket truck, and this will be appropriated out of Food and Beverage Fund 4439 in the amount of $200,000.
Tanya? At this time, then, I will open the public hearing on Resolution 2026-03. Any public comment, please come forward. State your name for the record and keep comments to 3 minutes if possible. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on Resolution 2026-03. Any further discussion, comments from council? No, sir. Is there a motion? Motion to approve Resolution 2026 from Keith, or 2026-03. Is there a second? Second from John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Thank you, council. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure our arborists at the Parks Department will be very excited for
They will be ecstatic. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Just kidding, we don't have arborists, I'm just our employees. We're not Carmel. All right, next up will be ordinance 2026-01. This is concerning amendment to Chapter 76, traffic schedules. This is concerning the three-way stop at Angley Way and Grant Boulevard. This is on first reading. Kevin?
Thank you very much. Before you tonight, first ordinance of the year, 2026-01, is similar to a couple of ordinances we did last year, creating for the creation of new stop signs. So this comes to us at the request of Councilperson Copeland to install a three-way stop in Angley Gardens at the intersection of Angley Way and Grant Boulevard. That would be a three-way intersection. It would be a three-way stop, or what the ordinance would refer to as an all-way stop. So again, for your consideration, if approved, then we would work with the DPW to install those stop signs.
I'd like to thank Kevin for working with us on this. There were several neighbors had safety concerns on this issue. We've raised it over the past year. I think now with more housing coming to Angley Gardens, you're seeing more congestion, more vehicles going that way. One of the other things questions that they have raised at the intersection of Grant Boulevard right across onto Angley is the show home. Just on the other side of that, they have a parking area, but apparently the employees would rather park on the street instead of that parking area. And so we get a lot of concerns, safety concerns, especially with kids now, well, not now riding bikes, but in the past, with those cars parked out there in front, making it very difficult to turn left or right off of Grant Boulevard. So I thought maybe we could reach out to them later on and see about them using their own parking spots instead of the street, if possible. But this is something, like I said, the neighborhood was concerned with, safety issues, and I'm glad, Kevin, you came forward and helped us out on this. So thank you very much.
And Kevin, do we have just a general ordinance that you can't park in an intersection?
That is true. I need to go back and read that traffic schedule because it does speak to intersections. It speaks to separations from crosswalks.
Fire hydrants, I think.
Fire hydrants, things of that nature. So I'll look at that, and if there is an opportunity, we could also coordinate with the painting of that curb at that intersection.
Might have to wait till spring or warms up a little bit.
Yeah, it would have to wait for a little bit, but I think also I would agree with you, the more appropriate first thing to do would be to talk to the people that man that sales center and see if they couldn't just help us out with some cooperation at this time.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Kevin at this time? I'll have Rob read it. No, sir. Rob, can you read the ordinance?
Thank you, Mayor. Council, ordinance 2026-01 concerns an amendment to Chapter 76 traffic schedules. This council has jurisdiction over the public thoroughfares and streets within the corporate boundaries of the city and believes it's in the best interest of the public's health, safety, and welfare to amend Chapter 76 traffic schedules. So as this council finds, as of the effective date of this ordinance, Chapter 76, Schedule 5, stop intersections of the City Code of Ordinances shall be amended to include the following: Grant Boulevard and Angeli Way, an all-way stop, and the remaining portions of Chapter 76 of the City Code are not affected by this ordinance, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect in accordance with Indiana law.
Thank you, Rob. This ordinance has been read on first reading. Actually, is there any other public comment on ordinance 2026-01? Okay. People don't get too upset about a stop sign, but all right. We'll take that up for second reading at our next meeting, which will be January 26th at 7:15 p.m. All right, thank you, Kevin. All right, next item up here will be ordinance 2026-02. This is council to consider an amended PUD ordinance for the Hickory Junction development. First reading. Ben?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. Get everything plugged in here. This is a very, very simple amendment to the text of the Hickory Junction PUD ordinance, but one that's actually fairly critical as they start to develop their outlets out in that development. So when this ordinance was first written a few years ago, there was anticipated to be development in there where we're trying to push the buildings towards the street and then have a more pedestrian-friendly street kind of on the internal drive as it worked its way back towards the field house. The one area where I expected that wasn't going to work very well was on the outlots, and this was actually an issue in the ordinance text that I anticipated and gave Carr the heads up, but at some time we're going to have to fix this. The way this ordinance was written, it requires a maximum front building setback of 20 feet, which would require the building to be between 0 and 20 feet from the front property line. The challenges with the outlots, and I'll show you an example here in a second, is some of those outlots have streets on all four sides of the property, which means that the building would have to be within 20 feet of every property line. So you basically just have to fill up the lot with a building and there'd be no room for parking or any access around it. So what this amendment does, and if they want to pull up the screen for me, I'll just quick run through the red line of the ordinance, because I know what I sent to you, even if you did a word-for-word comparison of the last ordinance, you might have missed the change. So really here on this first page is just changing the references of the ordinances and dates associated with the approvals. And then I will scroll down and just find, so here on the minimum setback front, what it actually said before is maximum setback front, and you can see there redlined out the maximum setback 20 feet, and there is no minimum. So what we essentially have done is just stricken the maximum setback 20 feet and left it as a no minimum front setback. What this does is they do have one internal lot. It will still allow that building to be pushed out towards the street and be more pedestrian friendly, but you have the flexibility on the outlots to move the building around where most appropriate for the outlot and most appropriate for vehicular access around the building. And I'll show you an example here. This is actually a Leo's Market and Eatery. This is on one of the outlots. North is actually to the right on this drawing. State Road 39 is actually at the top. So based on the maximum front building setback, there would have to be building 20 feet from this property line, 20 feet from this property line, 20 feet from this property line, and 20 feet from this property line. So you basically would have to have building wrapping around the entire property, really not allowing there to be any vehicular access on a typical outlet like this. So theoretically, you could push the building towards one property line, but then you couldn't be 20 feet from all four property lines. So in an instance like this where you have a public road on all four sides, it technically has 4 front yards, meaning the building would have to be pushed to all property lines at the same time, and it doesn't really practically work for this type of development. So essentially what the change would do is it would allow the flexibility for a lot where it made sense to push it out towards the street, that it could be pushed out towards the street. But for a project like this where they need vehicular access around the building, you can see what they've done is the building is more towards the middle of the property. And then they've got parking on both sides of the building. And then there's actually a drive-up window on this south side, or I guess that would technically be the east side. So this allows for more reasonable vehicular access and parking around the building for a site like this. So that is the change in a nutshell. It was a longer description than the actual text change itself. It really just struck, I think, about 5 words from the PUD ordinance. Everything else stays the same as it was previously. I did get some comments. Some of the exhibits are a little bit dated because they're original to the document and they're just meant to be concepts, so they're not necessarily reflective of what's happening on the ground now. But this does allow them to continue these outlet developments the way their tenants are proposing the sites. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Dan Connors is here with Cardin Associates. If you just want a general project update, I'm sure he'd be happy to do that for you as well.
Ben, does adopting this, though, lose some of the goal of the development of making it walkable or friendly? I mean, or pedestrian friendly?
Not necessarily, because you still can. Because you have a 0 minimum front setback. So for the lots where it would make sense for there to be pedestrian connectivity, you still can push the buildings out to the street. But for some of these outlots where it's got roads all the way around, it's really not terribly feasible for it to be truly pedestrian friendly. It allows for the flexibility for the building to be placed like this. So it essentially allows for both. Where it does make sense to do that, you still can.
Do they have sidewalks on each side of it?
There'll actually be a trail out on State Road 39 and then sidewalks on the other 3 sides. So there is still connectivity. It's not really designed for it to have the buildings out towards the street, though. So you still can get there by foot.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this for Ben from council? Dan, do you want Dan to give a quick update, guys? Is that okay? Sure. Dan, you might give an update. Since you're here.
Hello, Council. Thank you for hearing us tonight. So Dan Connors, Executive Vice President of Real Estate Development for Cardin Associates. We are very excited about the progress that we've seen out of Hickory Junction. So it's been a long time coming. It's been a big commitment for all the parties involved, but we're starting to really see the fruits of our labor. So the development has finally continued to progress. We got through all of our road improvement planning with the Department of Transportation. We are now, if it wasn't for the early snow that we got this year, we'd have all of our pad-ready sites delivered, but we have a little bit of work that'll be done in the spring, so think top coating the asphalt, some of the finer landscaping that we'll finish up in the springtime, but all in, we have been able to finally get our pad-ready sites delivered. We have a lot of interest from multiple different groups. We have a hotel group that we are now test fitting on the site, so we're pretty excited about that. That obviously leads directly into new hotel rooms, which will help pay for some of the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, some of the other equipment needs that it sounds like are very well due, and so that's exciting for us. We have additional retail users who are very excited to come online, and then as you've seen, and I know you've heard from the folks at Leo's Market and Eatery a few different times, very excited about having them join too. So we are excited, and along with the finishing of phase 1, we are looking at additional growth around the existing projects that are in that area. So more to come, and we'll be back around here more and more over the next year.
Any questions for Dan from council?
Yeah, do you have a timeline on the apartments and the residential units that are going to be south of the
Right
field
behind
house?
the field house? Yeah, so that is a separate group from us, and talking and working with them, I know they are anxious. I think that they, like a lot of folks around, were working through questions on water, figuring out what that was going to do to their path and timing. I don't want to speak for that group, so I know that they are anxious and excited to get out of the ground. Again, with the new neighbors coming to our development, everyone's excited. There's obviously a need for new units in that area, so they're, I know, working hard to get going, and I don't know exactly what that timeline is, though.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Rob, do you mind reading the ordinance, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Council, ordinance 2026-02 is a Hickory Junction PUD district, amending ordinance 2024-13. This council adopted ordinance 2024-13 on September 9th, 2024, establishing the Hickory Junction PUD District and the associated land use development and design standards. Due to needs and desires of potential users and tenants of the Hickory Junction District, it has become necessary to consider amendments to the Hickory Junction PUD District. The Lebanon Advisory Plan Commission forwarded docket 25-52 after a public hearing on December 15, 2025 to this council with a favorable recommendation by a vote of 6-0 in accordance with Indiana Code. The Secretary of the Commission certified the action of the Commission to this council, and this council finds approval of this ordinance, and it's amended as follows. Ben hit the highlights. I'll just go, I mean, there's several pages in this PUD, but as you've seen before, Section 1 talks about the applicability of the ordinance. Section 2 is the definitions. Section 3 is the concept plan. Section 4 is the underlining zoning districts. Section 5 is the permitted uses. Section 6, the overlay districts, and those haven't changed. Section 7 is what Ben touched on, are the general regulations, and those are several pages. Section 8 is the development standards, and Section 9 gets into the design standards. And again, this ordinance will be in full force and effect in accordance with Indiana law.
Thank you, Rob. Ordinance has been read on first reading. We will take that up at our next meeting, which will be January 26th. At 7:15 p.m., unless there's any additional public comment concerning ordinance 2026-02. Okay, take it up then. All right, next item up, Ben, I'll have you come back up. This is ordinance 2026-03. This is a text amendment to the UDO.
Let me get fired up to the right spot here. So as you may recall, we adopted a new unified development ordinance about a year and a half ago. And as we expected, when you're adopting an entirely new document like that, as you start using it, you recognize there's some things that don't work quite the way you assume that they might. And some other things that maybe you find there's ways you might be able to change them to make them work better. So what we've essentially done over the last year and a half or so is make notes of things that aren't working quite the way we want them to, or just some things that we felt that we might be able to make changes to so they work better as we apply them to projects moving forward. And then once we had a long enough list of them where it made sense to go through the process to do the amendments, we would do that. And that's what we've done here tonight, is we've got a series of about 15 or 20 different, some of them minor amendments, some of them a little bit larger, that we wanted to propose all at the same time and bring through. So these are all amendments to the text of the UDO, and I will scroll through them relatively quickly and just kind of explain them to you. So if they want to pull up the screen here. So in Chapter 2 in zoning districts, couple things here. I think the biggest one, and this is something that Mr. Campbell and I have talked about a number of times, we actually have a front load garage setback, which right now in a lot of the residential zoning districts is 20 feet. Well, in practice, while most cars technically will fit in a 20-foot space, that requires them essentially to butt their bumper up to the garage so that there's space behind it without blocking the sidewalk. Well, as we all know, that rarely ever happens, so 20 feet isn't sufficient to park cars without blocking sidewalks when they're parked in their driveways. So what we've done here is we've changed the minimum front load garage setback to a minimum of 25 feet in every residential zoning district to make sure we have plenty of space in the driveway for a parked vehicle without blocking sidewalks, which in neighborhoods has meant that there are mothers and children that are having to go around the car into the street, which is just not really that safe. So that's really the big change here, is making sure we've got that a sufficient front load garage setback. We also actually, though, in addition to that, decreased the front yard building setback to a smaller amount. So if somebody had a product where the garage was set back from the front of the house, they would still have the flexibility to have the house pushed forward towards the street with the garage setback. So we wanted to make sure to do that. The only other change you see here is looking at the maximum building height in the R6 district, which is really the multifamily district, 50 feet. So we wanted to make sure that you could do a 4-story tall building. 50 feet, depending on the story height, may not be sufficient. So we just went ahead and went from 50 to 60 to make sure you could do 4-story apartment buildings within the R6 zoning district. And then the only other note in there that's about in the middle of the page is really explaining that and making sure to have a parking area at least 25 feet in length. So for example, if you had a side load garage, but you only had a 10-foot front building setback, your driveway's still not gonna be long enough for cars. So again, just making sure we've got sufficient parking area for those cars, so we're not blocking sidewalks. All right, in the thoroughfare overlay district, this section was essentially copied over from the old UDO, and what we didn't do and should have is make sure that the uses that we've identified as being prohibited within the overlay district matched up with the use terms in the new ordinance, and they did not. So what this essentially does is not necessarily remove anything from the list, but just change the terminology so it matched the use in our use table and in our definitions. So for example, we had automotive repair on here before, and what the new ordinance, the term is automotive service dash heavy. So this is really just updating those terms so that they matched what was in our use table and our definitions. We did add a few things that in some cases would be permitted in some of the zoning districts adjacent to thoroughfare that we didn't feel would be appropriate on one of those primary thoroughfares, like composting facilities. So we figured that was a fairly straightforward and obvious one that we certainly would not want on one of our primary thoroughfares. In the permitted use table, this first section, this is minor impact and major impact utilities. Minor impact utilities would be like water ground storage tanks or storage towers. Major impact utilities would be things like sanitary treatment plants or water treatment plants. And actually, when I was going through and looking at where they were conditional and permitted, they were switched from what I would expected. So a lot of places, major impact utilities were permitted where I thought they should be commercial. Conditional, and minor impact utilities were conditional where I thought they should be permitted. So that's essentially correcting this to make sure that minor impacts are permitted and conditional where in the zoning districts where it makes sense, and then the major impact are primarily conditional uses in the zoning districts. All right. So the rest of these here and the use descriptions and standards were essentially clarifying in some definitions where there were some types of uses where they weren't specifically mentioned. So making sure to add them in this case on minor impact utilities. It didn't specifically mention above and groundwater storage tanks. So we wanted to add it. Oil changes was not specifically included in light automotive services. So we made sure to include that. This one and description of certain types of motor vehicle or trailer sales or rental. It didn't specifically say utility or recreational vehicles, so we wanted to add that. And this one, it actually did mention boats and other sales of other equipment in a heavy vehicle, and we felt it more appropriate in the other definition, so we removed it actually from there where it was conflicting. General contractors, we didn't have landscape contractors specifically mentioned in there, so we added it to that. This is the only larger one in this section on, this is actually on solar arrays. And this has come up because we've had a few of them like on the Eli Lilly site where they're doing solar arrays or for US Cold out in the business park. And what it said before is where the solar collector areas where they met the vegetation requirements of this ordinance and they're not subject to drainage standards, or they're essentially exempt and considered impervious, which is not what our stormwater ordinance says. So rather than having this standard listed here, we just said that solar energy systems have to meet the standards of the stormwater ordinance. So that way, if that ordinance changes, this would just change to reflect that. In the LEAP district, we have one minor thing, and this one we thought was pretty straightforward. So data centers, they were permitted in all of the sub-districts, and those would include the mega site sub-district, the advanced manufacturing, and the mixed use sub-district. And they were permitted in all three of those sub-districts. And what we really felt that the typical data center we really felt should only be permitted in the mega site sub-district. So this essentially just removes it as a permitted use from the advanced manufacturing and mixed use and just limits it to the mega site sub-district. Under design and maintenance, let's see, this site visibility triangle, this is something that Kevin and I looked at, how it was written and applied. It didn't make sense in some areas. So we had the distances for the site visibility triangle were measured from the center line to the road, and in some places you had a lot of right-of-way, so the site visibility triangle was really, it just wasn't measured appropriately. So what we did is made the distances from the right-of-way lines rather than the center lines, and that just cleans that up so that we could actually apply it most appropriately in those cases. So that's what this does, is it just changed where it's measured from. In the parking section, we recognize that there wasn't actually a parking setback from property lines that was specified in here. So that's what this first paragraph does, is it just adds a parking setback requirement and how that's applied to sites. This other change, we recognize that the minimum aisle widths conflicted with the diagrams down here, so we just switched them so that they matched. On signage, most of these are just cleaning up places where we had conflicting standards in a couple of different sections, and so these are essentially just cleaning up places where there were conflicts on how those standards were written in here. And process and permits, we do require a permit from our office for short-term rentals like Airbnbs, but we did not have a definition of what a short-term rental was. So we found and used just essentially an industry standard definition for short-term rental and included it in this section. And that would be it. Quick rundown of those, but happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Ben, I got a question. On your presentation, I think it's page 8, about the thoroughfare overlay district.
Yeah, the prohibited uses.
Have underneath wholesale, warehousing, industrials. I'm not sure if these are being taken out or added to.
So this was one that was already in there that's just staying there as is. So if it's just the black standard text, those are ones that were already in there. So what this one is wholesale warehousing not contained entirely within buildings. So if you've got a warehousing user that's got a significant amount of outdoor storage, that would not be permitted within the thoroughfare overlay district.
Okay, so the automobile parts recycling business is not allowed or is allowed?
That is not, these are all prohibited uses in the
These are
overlay
all
district.
not allowed?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and the red ones would be ones that are being added in, whereas the black ones are already there.
Yeah.
Right, they're already prohibited today, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions? Sandra?
In this chart, if I look at permitted uses, I'm looking at chapter 3, page 26, under contractors general. So if you look there, any one of those, I should be able to look on this list and find that group, right, any of them. And I can't find them unless I'm just not looking in the right spot.
On the table, you should be able to find them. I'm sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding the question.
Yeah, I mean, because you can look up other things and find them on this, but that's why I'm asking. Am I able to find those on this chart? Or do you have a different chart for those?
The prohibited uses?
No.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
The permitted uses.
Permitted uses. So the use matrix includes all of our general uses that are permitted or conditional, and then you would find the definition of those. I don't have the entire section here. I only included the parts where we were making changes. But in this is just an example of part of that section where you can kind of scroll through and see university or college. So there's a definition, any additional standards, you'd find that on the table.
So there's more than just this?
Yes, this is just,
Okay.
these are just the
Okay.
pages where I make changes. You'll see that it's like,
Because I could find some, but I couldn't find any of
yeah.
that group.
So you see this is chapter 3, page 5, and chapter 3, page 7. So there's, I think the whole use table is probably 5 pages long.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay. Any public comment concerning ordinance 2026-03? Okay, Rob.
Thank you, Mayor. Council Ordinance 2026-03 is an ordinance of this council amending the text of the Unified Development Ordinance of the City of Lebanon. Whereas the City of Lebanon Advisory Plan Commission initiated and proposed an ordinance amending the text of the Unified Development Ordinance of the City of Lebanon. Pursuant to Indiana law, the Plan Commission conducted a public hearing and determined its favorable recommendation on December 15, 2025 by a 6-0 vote and certified its recommendation to this council. Pursuant to Indiana law, this council has considered the proposed text change amendments along with recommendation of the Lebanon Plan Commission and now adopts the amendments that are as follows. I won't rehash what Ben addressed, but Section 1 amends the text of the Unified Development Ordinance, specifically chapters 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 described in Exhibit A, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon passage and in accordance with Indiana law.
Thank you, Rob. That ordinance has been read on first reading. We'll take that up at our next meeting, which will be January 26th at 7:15 p.m. Okay, next item here, this is Resolution 2026-01. This is a confirmatory resolution confirming resolution 2025-35 regarding the supplement of an economic revitalization area. Is this, Rob?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, I'll address this. This is really just, again, a cleanup item. This is involving Project Domino. And last year, you may recall that actually at the end of 2024, so it's been even longer, this council approved the establishment of an economic revitalization area, and that set forth the stage to allow tax abatement for Project Domino. So what you've seen before you is you have various exhibits. What happened subsequent to that is that certain parcels within that established ERA boundary has been annexed into the city, and Project Domino has acquired that. And so this is essentially a supplement to include those 7 parcels. That's in it. There's a lot of legalese in here, but all this is setting forth a similar procedure, amending to bring in those 7 parcels that were not included originally when this council approved the establishment of an ERA. And so I'll go ahead and read it. I'm happy to answer questions, but again, it gets pretty technical, but that's a very high level. This does also, we'll have a public hearing on this, okay? So Resolution 2026-01, again, is a resolution of this council confirming Resolution 2025-35 regarding the supplement of an economic revitalization area. Again, under Indiana law, this council is empowered with the ability to declare one or more areas within the city as an economic revitalization area that's defined as an ERA, and also to abate the payment of real and personal property taxes for real and personal property located within the area declared by the city to be an ERA. Pursuant to Indiana law, this council may find a particular area within the jurisdiction of the city is an ERA, and will have maps and plats or a description of the boundaries of the area by adoption of a resolution. This council previously adoption, as I mentioned, Resolution 2024-23 on October 18, 2024. That was the original declaratory resolution. And it subsequently confirmed Resolution 2024-36 by this council on November 25th, 2024. Again, that's the original confirmatory resolution. All that is set forth, and that's defined as the original revitalization area in Exhibit B. Subsequent to the adoption of the original resolution, certain land was excluded from the original ERA, but was contained, as I mentioned, within the boundaries of the ERA. And again, those are defined as the new parcels included in the economic revitalization area, which have been annexed into the city. This council desires to include the annexed area within the original ERA, in essence, okay? So Orla LLC is the applicant. It previously submitted to this council a statement of benefits, the SB1. Real property, that's all set forth in Exhibit C, and that's defined in here as the project. In connection with the abatement of the project, the city, the council, and the applicant entered into, as you may recall, an economic development incentive, property tax exemption and abatement agreement on December 17th, 2025, again, which contemplates the abatement approved by the original resolution pursuant to Indiana law. So on November 24, 2025, this council adopted Resolution 2025-35, which again was defined as the 2025 declaratory resolution. That's set forth in Exhibit D. And that had a detailed map of the area, including specifically the original ERA as well as the annex area. All right, this council finds in accordance with Indiana law, it's caused to be filed a copy of the 2025 declaratory resolution with the Boone County Assessor, a copy of the notice and statement containing substantially the same information as the statement of officers of each taxing unit, which is authorized to fix budgets, tax rates, tax levies. So they've been provided notice of this action. We will have a public hearing here, and this council will have received or heard and considered any remonstrances or objections. This council believes in its designation of the annexed area as an ERA pursuant to Indiana law will assist the city with the goals of fostering new business within the LEAP district. Pursuant to Indiana law, this council desires to take final action on the 2025 declaratory resolution. And on the map attached is Exhibit B, which constitutes a modification, and this council desires to modify and confirm the 2025 declaratory resolution. So this council finds that the annex area is within the corporate boundaries of the city pursuant to Indiana law. It declares that the annex area is designated as an ERA pursuant to Indiana law. And the designation of the annex area as an ERA shall not be limited by a certain time period, and upon passage of a confirmatory resolution, all qualifying real and personal properties shall be eligible for deduction as allowed under Indiana law. This council hereby reaffirms the establishment of the original ERA as contemplated under the original resolution and declaratory resolution. Based upon the information in the statement of benefits that this council had received, the estimate of $400 million as the cost of improvements to be considered is reasonable for a project of this nature. As you may recall, the estimate of hiring 50 employees will be employed can be reasonably expected to result from the proposed project. The estimate of the average salaries of those individuals who will be employed will be 125% of the average wage for Boone County. And the totality of the benefits is sufficient to justify granting of the real property tax abatement to the applicant through the deductions provided under Indiana law. And this council reaffirms its approval of the statement submitted with the original resolution that this council has received. This council hereby confirms the 2025 declaratory resolution, and to the extent providing additional detail, the map set forth in Exhibit B. And this council shall cause to be filed a certified copy of this resolution with the Boone County Auditor. And this resolution shall be in full force and effect after passage by this council and as required by Indiana law.
Thank you, Rob. A lot of legalese, certainly to essentially explain that after the annexation, the area established, additional parcels were annexed that are part of the development site. So essentially making that, what we did in the first ERA, apply to all of the sites as well too. So questions or concerns from council with that?
Are these people that had not gotten purchased in the first go-round or something, and they're just now getting involved?
They have been purchased now, but at the time that we first adopted the ERA, they were not included in that. They had not sold at that point. So they have sold now. They are now they are owned by Orla Meta. So now they are part of that development. But they weren't when we first established the ERA. And so essentially we're filling in the pieces that weren't included in the first swipe.
I've done that before. I've seen that on other
Correct,
areas.
yes. Yeah, this is typical that, the plan was for the bigger footprint, but we just did with what was there at the time, and then now we're just essentially making it
And
fit
these
the.
ones have sold. They're in agreement.
Yes.
They're sold.
Yep, they're now currently owned by Orla Meta, yes. Yep. Any other questions or concerns? No, sir. Any public comment concerning resolution?
This is a public hearing.
Okay. At this time, then I'll open the public hearing on resolution 2026-01. If you need public comment, please come forward. State your name, address for the record, please, and keep comment to 3 minutes if possible. Seeing no sudden movements, I will close the public hearing on resolution 2026-01. Final comments, discussion from council? No, sir. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we pass resolution 2026-01.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Rob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That resolution is adopted. Thank you, council. Okay, all right, next item up here, last one of the evening. We ordinance 2026-04, ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 55 of the City of Lebanon Code of Ordinances concerning golf carts. Councilman Hawkins, this is your baby. Do you want to talk through what's?
Sure.
Yeah.
Basically, with the new amendment, a lot of things have been looked upon Talked with Rob Shine here, our attorney, talked with the city police, talked with several residents, and I want to thank Rob and his company for all the hard work that they've done. We basically now have taken the golf cart ordinance and put a chapter in there for golf carts, or a definition, which basically just is a four-wheeled vehicle originally designed and intended to transport one or more individuals and golf clubs for the purpose to play golf on a golf course. From that, we also added in there that the Lebanon Police Department shall have a discretion to determine whether a vehicle that is brought forth to them is considered a golf cart or not. Because of that, I took out all of the dimensions, everything that, because the last couple times we read this, we got into some heated arguments, not arguments, but talks of, do we want to exempt this? Do we want to exempt that? Older carts don't have this. Newer carts have this. Why doesn't every cart have everything that we want? We have a large variety of golf carts on our city streets. So therefore, I would, with my intentions is to take this ordinance now, let the city police decide, yes, this is a golf cart. And the only thing that, as far as inspection purposes go, they will look at it to make sure, because Rob was able to find under state law, golf carts are exempt from slow-moving vehicles, that category. So therefore, a golf cart legally can operate at night. But because they operate at night, we felt it was important, and we've looked at other city ordinances that in order to operate at night, your golf cart now has to have headlights, taillights, brake lights, turn signals, and they must be visible, I think Rob put in here, within 500 feet for safety reasons. So that kind of takes care of all that. So that's basically the only thing they are going to look at now. Do they have these things? And I know Sandra brought up the point, well, what if they only have one working headlight? No, this is 2 working headlights, 2 working taillights, 2 working brake lights, right and left turn signals. Everything has to work for them to get that. And then we had the issue brought up of who's going to fix the emblem on the golf cart or the permit, because I had thought about, let's just take it back to the clerk's office. Well, we weren't happy with that, so we want to just still incorporate the city police department. They will affix the permit. They will affix it to the slow-moving vehicle emblem on the back. And so everybody knows, and everybody watching at home, if we're exempt, why do we need a slow-moving vehicle emblem on the back? Because unfortunately, these are still slow-moving vehicles. I clearly have one myself, only goes 12 miles an hour. So therefore, we want that slow-moving vehicle on the back. That permit will be put on the very center of the back by the Lebanon City Police Department. I originally, again, thought we were going to send this back to the clerk's office, so I had contacted Rob and said, let's go back to the original $30. That's why in the ordinance you see $30. Since I'm going to burden the city police department with looking at these, taking their manpower, their time, we're going to go back to what I originally wrote in as $50 for them. I did adjust, however, the special permit. We are going to be issuing special permits for the 4th of July, because that's when most people rent a cart for that week. You can actually get a special permit. It will be a paper tag that you tape to the windshield. Again, they still have to go up to the city police. They still have to show their rental agreement. However, we've reduced that by $10, so it's only a $10 fee, and it's only good for 1 week. So it will have the dates on there from the date you purchase it. A week later, it's no longer valid, and then they won't, that will be the only thing there. So with that, I know this is going to have a lot of discussion. This is, again, I want everybody to know that since we have changed everything, this is just a first reading again. We're going to bring it up again at a next meeting to finalize everything, but I wanted to give the city police the jurisdiction to say, yes, it's a golf cart, no, it's not a golf cart. They will determine that, and if they feel it's a golf cart, they will look for those lights if they're going to be operating it at night, and then affix the permit to it.
I agree to all that. I don't have any disagreement at all with it. I think it's very good, since you still have it going to the police department. And that way, it's not on Tanya to get somebody in her group to go out and look at it or anything like that. I think the police should handle it. And I think the fees are good. I was happy with those before. I'm happy with it now.
Is there an issue that if we change the fee amount, Rob, it needs to be noticed? Sorry, Rob Shine. It needs to be noticed or something? Because didn't we run into that last time? Or we?
No, I think with this, we had, well, I don't believe so. I mean, we're putting the fees in here now, whether or not, I think we'll need to amend it for second reading, because this draft, at least was circulated to you all, still had the $30. But it'll have the fees schedule in here as well as the penalties under similar traffic violations.
Tanya, I thought that when we did a fee change, we had to publicize it.
We do if it goes up. Hi, speaking to the microphone.
Was it 30 to begin with?
But it was 30 to begin with, so if it's still 30, we won't need a public hearing.
Right,
We
but if we-
did when it went from 30 to 50.
So if we change to 50, we just have to hold a public hearing? Okay, so
10-day notice.
so we could do a 10-day notice if we want to amend it to 50?
Yes.
Okay.
That can go on the next reading then, right?
Yeah, we would have enough time, yes. Yeah,
Right.
we couldn't
did it
adopt it tonight or
tomorrow.
anything. I just wanted to, we could.
You sent two documents, so one was clean, I mean, I think with the same ordinance number, but I think one is maybe your clean one and one is
Yeah.
the old one.
Because we made a fair amount of changes, we thought for your ease of reference, you could look at the red line and see.
Okay, that's what I was hoping,
And
okay.
those were red lines from the drafts that we had circulated. So not anything that has been read on first reading yet, but just internally, as there's been a fair amount, as Councilman Hawkins indicated, back and forth. He's been talking to a lot of people in the community. We've had calls with the police department, Major Hood, as well as the chief, and the clerk treasurer's office, and some others. Just so you know, we spend a fair amount of time not only looking at Indiana statute, but looking at what other cities and towns have done, how they've incorporated it. Many of them do allow the golf carts to be operated at night as long as they have all that operational equipment. And I know the chief and Major Hood and Councilman Hawkins, the police are going to enforce the laws, right? So none of this exempts anybody from not adhering to the traffic laws within the city, but there are certain provisions that are set forth.
So if they have one light out, then they will be ticketed unless we don't have anything for that, but they will be, right? Just like a vehicle would.
Yeah. And they would be, because they'd be violating the golf cart permit if they don't have two working
And
headlights.
then we still go by those, one violation, two violations?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, because if anything's not working, then they are now in essentially violation of the golf cart ordinance, and they would have the fine associated with that, yeah.
Measurements, they're not there anymore. The police are going to just look at it and decide. Is that right?
Right, basically, at that point, and I'm sure they will ask them, do you plan to operate this at night? Because if you are, let's say, for instance, you have an old golf cart, or you have a golf cart that comes straight off the golf course.
Yeah.
Those don't have lights or anything. Those still have to follow the sunrise to sunset, 30 minutes before and after recommendation that's the only time that they can be operated on the city streets.
Yeah, it wouldn't stop them from getting a permit.
If
just
you're
they can't ride
if
it.
you're doing the nighttime, then they will actually inspect all your lights to make sure they're working. And then hopefully at that point, if they have a headlight out, they'll say, go get it fixed, bring it back, and we'll get you your permit.
Are the police okay with being the adjudicators of defining what a golf cart is? Because we've struggled with that over the years.
Right, and they are okay, in talking with Chief Morgan and Major Hood today, they're okay as long as they have a specific, what am I inspecting? And as I told them today, the only thing that I am concerned with this ordinance is that you have the headlights, taillights, brake lights, turn signals to operate at night. Because basically we're saying during the daytime hours, you can have whatever golf cart you normally have, and you can operate it. And then again, this is more about following traffic laws and being safe out here, getting that 2%, as I call it, off or out from behind the wheel, which are the kids. And then we're not riding them on trails, we're not riding them on sidewalks, we're not riding them, across the grass, almost like at the 4th of July where you can ride it in the park and everything, but
If they have those like mine does, it has all that on there. But let's say one of them's out. When I take it in to get it inspected, and I don't even realize it's out, they're gonna tell me to go get it fixed, right? Even if they ask me.
yeah, they will give you at that point an opportunity to go get your headlight fixed real quick and come right back, and at least I hope they will.
That's what I want to happen.
And then that way, because like you say, you may drive up there thinking, I have 2 working headlights, and all of a sudden one's out.
Right.
Go get it fixed real quick, bring it back,
Right.
and then we'll get you your permit issued.
And even if they ask me and I say, I don't plan to ride it in the nighttime, I still think that they should say everything has to be working that's on it, when you get the permit. Because they could ask me, like you said, they'll ask you if you.
And I see where you're going with this. If you bring a cart up there that has all the lights on it, and we need to make sure they are working so that, again, just like they're not taking this permit and taking it, oh, this is for a golf cart, and then they put it on a UTV.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna we need to make sure all their lights are working. Yeah, I agree with that.
Anything that's on it needs to be
Because again,
working.
safety issue. We may actually drive out there, I don't intend to drive it at night, but then all of a sudden you go somewhere and things happen, and now you're out at night, you need to have all working lights.
First thing they're gonna say is they gave it to me and it wasn't working then. So they need to make sure anything that's on that cart is working before they get the permit, and that way we're covered.
Correct. Yes.
Is this year-round?
Yeah, I mean, your permit runs, although we've delayed it a little bit here, runs from January 1st to December 31st.
And
yes.
now,
If you want to drive a golf cart in the middle of winter, go for it.
I see people do
And they do it,
No,
yes.
I saw some last week.
I got heaters.
And now you don't have those shortened hours in the winter either because of the daylight, the way it is, since you can drive it at night. I like everything. I'm agreeing with everything. I don't have
Question,
any.
comments? Will this be the last golf cart ordinance of the year, Rob?
I hope so.
Thank you. Now you know why we didn't touch it for a while.
Next, we've got to worry about Indianapolis Avenue. I'm getting all kinds of people asking about that.
I'm aware, Keith. I think
working at it.
I think we beat this horse. All right, Rob, you mind reading the ordinance, please?
Yep. I'll just hit the highlights, but ordinance 2026-04, it again is an ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 75 of the City of Lebanon Code of Ordinances for golf carts. This council previously adopted ordinance 2018-19 on July 23, 2018, for the purposes of regulating the operation of golf carts on highways and streets within the city's jurisdiction, and that's all codified in Title 7, Chapter 75 of the City Code. On August 11, 2025, this council amended Ordinance 2018-09 pursuant to Ordinance 2025-23, which are defined as the golf cart ordinances. Pursuant to Ordinance 2025-44, adopted on December 8th of 2025, this council again amended the golf cart ordinance. The council finds it's the interest of public safety and welfare to further amend the golf cart ordinance in Title 7, Chapter 75 of the City Code. So this council finds that the recitals are incorporated by reference. As of the effective date of this ordinance, Title 7, Chapter 75 of the City Code shall be amended and replaced with Chapter 75, all set forth in Exhibit A. The remaining portions of Title VII of the City Code are not affected by this ordinance and shall remain in full force and effect, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect in accordance with Indiana law after adoption.
Rob, do we need a motion to amend to the $50 fee versus the 30?
I think, Mayor, Council, if you'd like, I mean, there may be some other things that we want to amend in the meantime, so if we're going to change that fee, yes, we will.
Because that would require the notice, is my point.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that would require the notice, but the other things we could amend at our second reading.
Yep.
So I would entertain a motion then to amend the $30 fee to the $50 fee as proposed in the ordinance.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to amend to $50. Is there a second? Second from Dick. All in favor of say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that has been amended. We'll notice that up for our next meeting, which will be January 26th at 7:15 PM. Any public comment concerning ordinance 2026-04? Okay,
I just have a question.
go for it, Tanya.
So what do we tell people? Because we had one person who drives a golf cart daily to and from work today. He wants to know when he can get, where he goes, da-da-da-da. Then we
January-
had two other people.
January 27th at 8
Okay.
o'clock in the morning
All right, thanks.
at the police department. Yeah.
And I apologize for that.
It's fine, I just need to.
And do they need to call and make an appointment to go, or do they just show up? I thought it was make an appointment, but I don't know.
Make an appointment. Do they still make an appointment to go?
Yes, in talking with the chief and major today, they are actually going to get on their website an appointment schedule posted where you can actually just sign up, get your appointment, and then go in, and either the officer or designated employee will do that inspection of your lights and everything, and then affix the permit.
I presume they can also call, because this gentleman does not have, he's not on the internet.
And that's fine. They can call too, yes.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, that ordinance will be taken up at our next meeting, which will be January 26th at 7:15 PM. Any other new business for council?
No, sir.
Okay.
Is this, sir, where I bring up that we're going to introduce the new UTV law?
So I
Ordinance?
did want to mention that.
Yes.
So they're actually, what we're experiencing with UTVs is not unique in Indiana. And actually the state, I've mentioned our state organization, AIM, they've talked about that actually the state will plan to be defining UTV in state code.
Yes.
So that was some of the issues we had, Rob was struggling with before, is like how do we define these things? And so I know we talked about having the UTV ordinance, doing that. Would you mind if we held off till we actually probably have
Oh, no,
a...
that's fine. I just want to make sure the public is aware, because I'm getting those calls.
Yeah,
Hey,
'cause
are you going to pass the UTV one also?
Yeah.
Yeah, let us get one step at a time, and then, we'll move
Yeah, so
accordingly. So
we'll have the state will define a UTV for us. So I think once that will be helpful. Whenever possible, we can reference state code of defining something. I think it's helpful. So my recommendation is we just kind of hold off on the UTV ordinance until the state legislatures kind of define that for us, then we can reference it. That work?
okay, thank you, sir.
I have another question. What about the e-bikes?
That is on, I don't want to say a definite hold, but it's still on hold.
Still needs some work.
There is a lot that we still want to look at, and I think we addressed that when we were talking about them last time, that this is something that's going to take a while, and we want to make sure we get everything down, that we dot all our i's and cross all our t's, and do everything the correct way to where everybody is happy with it.
Still working on it. Okay. All right. Any other new business? Okay, move on to claims. Entertain a motion concerning the claims.
Make a motion, we pay the claims?
Motion to pay the claims. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Rob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, any announcements or discussion?
I got one thing.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but being a Purdue fan since I was
Oh, don't
10
even.
years
Don't.
old,
We don't have to talk about it.
I would like to wish all our IU friends and alumni here in our community, and Indiana University, the best of luck Monday, and bring home a national championship to Indiana. I think it'd be great for Indiana.
Disagree.
And Purdue fans will just have to get them next year.
Yeah, I'm going to veto that wishing of happiness to the IU fans. So, no, without taking a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn from Dick, second. Second from John. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, our next city council meeting will be January 26th at 7:15 PM. We are adjourned.